Okay, we've also got a couple of classics featured on our drink menu, the martini and the Manhattan. We'll take a little time to talk about the martini. Very popular drink. The base drink of the martini was actually a gin cocktail. Over the years, it's kind of progressed into a more vodka-based cocktail, or more people think of a vodka martini when they say martini, but technically it's a gin drink. And it has spawned, of course, hundreds of drinks that come in what we call a martini glass that have very little relation, if any, to the actual classic martini. The idea with the classic martini being on our menu is to help us upsell some of these super premium alcohols that we've got. We've got Grey Goose, Belvedere, we've got Hendrick's. These are fantastic things. They're vodkas and gins that are just meant to be drank all by themselves with no juice, no sugar, no nothing cluttering up the flavor. And the martini is obviously the most historically classical way to do that. In general, when people order a martini from you, they got to tell you a lot of things. They got to tell you whether they want vodka or gin in it. They want to tell you they got to tell you whether they want it up or on the rocks. They got to tell you what they want it garnished with. And again, lots of people like a little bit of a different twist on their martini, so you want to make sure you get all that information while you're making their glass, so you can make it, or their drink, so you can make it right the first time. For us, a standard martini for us is going to be, you know, your server is going to order it by liquor type. And then if it just says martini, it should be served up with 2 olives. Then the server should modify it in any other way if somebody tells them they want it different. If they want it with a twist, anything like that, it should be on your ticket. But if it just says martini, it should mean up with 2 olives. That's our kind of standard. Again, because it's a martini, it's going in the glass. It's a 2-ounce pour of the base alcohol and then just a little bit of dry vermouth. Historically, martinis had a lot more dry vermouth in them. As we've progressed over the last 20 years, there's less and less and less. People can order their martinis in lots of ways. Dry means very little dry vermouth. Extra dry or bone dry means basically no dry vermouth. And also, it's sort of by the age. The younger the person is, the less vermouth they're going to expect in their martini. And while you can never take martini out of it, you can always add a little bit in. So I always try to err on the side of less vermouth is better. Okay, so just to make a classic martini, we're gonna use Grey Goose vodka as it's our probably #1 seller. So let's practice what we preach. The first thing we want to do is we're gonna chill the glass. This one's been chilling for a while, but again, you can always just take a fresh martini glass, ice, and we want to use soda water, and then put it on the rail to chill while you're doing the rest of the stuff, and it'll get nice and cold. The reason for this is that the entire content of this drink is more or less the alcohol, and we want to keep it as cold as possible without introducing too much ice into it and getting too much melt and too much watering it down. We want to water it down just enough. And to do that, we're going to stir this cocktail. Again, any drink that's made that has all primarily liquor ingredients, we don't want to shake it. We don't want to introduce air, and we don't want to agitate the ice or break up the ice and put too much water into the cocktail. Certainly, if somebody asks you for theirs shaken, not stirred, because they've watched too much James Bond, go ahead and do it. But basically what they're asking for is a watered down martini, and that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're chilling the martini and we're bringing the essence of the spirit to the front, and then we're serving it and keeping it as cold as we can. So we're going to chill the glass. Then we're going to start with our 16-ounce glass, and unlike every other cocktail I've told you, I want you to ice the glass and then add the spirits, because all we're adding to this one is spirits. So, oop, wrong bottle. Grey Goose, 2-ounce premier pour, because that's all martinis are premier pours. A little bit of vermouth. And then we're going to stir this glass. We basically want to stir until water droplets start forming on the outside of the glass. Maybe 10 or 15 times is plenty. But we want to stir it down. We want to get the temperature of the vodka down to the temperature of the ice without over melting the ice. All right. When we think we're there, we're going to dump out our chilling ice. We're going to use our julep strainer because we're straining out of the glass. Strain our martini. We're going to go with our standard garnish of 2 olives. And there you go. It's a classic martini, up 2 olives.